Good afternoon. My name is Janelle Kendall. I am the Stearns County Attorney. This is Don Goodmanson, the Stearns County Sheriff. The public release of the closed law enforcement investigation into the disappearance of Jacob Wetterling was scheduled for Monday, June 5th. Late yesterday, the family of Jacob Wetterling asked a judge to prevent the public release of portions of the file containing personal information about the Wetterling family. In conjunction with the Sheriff's Office, we have followed the Minnesota Government Data Practices Act to the best of our ability, but we find that the law does not allow us to protect these victims' wishes and interests. We have multiple requests for the release of the closed criminal investigation. Due to this now pending legal action, release of the file will be delayed until a judge has a chance to review exactly what is disputed. Based on a conference call with the judge this afternoon, information in dispute is to be submitted to the court on June 30th. We have worked diligently with those impacted to balance the demands of transparency and the interests of victims. Since the data practices laws are both brief and interwoven through Minnesota statute, hundreds of interpretations were made by teams of over 20 staff, up to 14 persons at a time, beginning in late October and continuing through today, preparing for the release of this file. In this process, over 56,000 pages of reports and other data were repeatedly reviewed for a number of assessments, primarily victim identification, which is entangled in the context of the entire file. A mere keyword search to remove specific information does not satisfy the requirements of the statute. Removal of one fact or concept may appear in context in other documents. Victims' concerns are stark. Hundreds of sexual abuse victims were identified in the reports from many law enforcement agencies who forwarded their sexual abuse investigations to Stearns County, so the perpetrators in those files could be investigated for taking Jacob Wetterling. The file has been reviewed multiple times to make every effort to ensure those victims are not identified. Before even beginning the redaction process, Stearns County met with the State of Minnesota's Information Policy and Analysis Division to best ensure protection of victims and appropriate disclosure of public information. Despite these efforts, it is true that intensely personal information remains public under Minnesota statute. The question therefore arises, what does the public need to know? In the legislature's discussion about body cameras worn by law enforcement, they decided that the situations encountered by law enforcement were not always appropriately publicly viewable, so they built in the option of judicial review. That's what the Wetterlings are asking for here. Since we have determined that current statutes require disclosure, this is an understandable choice. Despite intense public interest, this case involves thousands of real human beings and years of intense personal tragedy. It's 27 years worth of information. The lengthy process to review and redact it should not be surprising. Pending the judicial decision and subsequent application of any resulting order, the release of the file will be delayed. Since we are now in active litigation, no further information will be available. Stearns County Sheriff, Don Goodmanson.
There'll be a copy of our statements in the back following this. First, I want to know that there's no animosity between the Wetterling family and the Stearns County Sheriff's Office, even with a lawsuit filed. We've always enjoyed a positive working relationship with their family. The struggle here is balancing our need to protect the privacy of victims and state law that requires a release of a closed investigative file. I believe that the law requires the release of the file, and I look forward to the day when it can be released. Speaking for retired Sheriff, Stearns County Sheriff John Sander, I want to say that the file will show the extraordinary effort put forth by the Stearns County Sheriff, as well as our partners in the FBI, the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, and dozens of other law enforcement agencies. I've only been in Stearns County since last Wednesday, but it's fair to say that the citizens of Stearns County The entire state and even the country is aware of what the Wetterlings have gone through, losing their son to murder with no resolution for nearly 30 years. We have great respect for their strength. Because their wishes could not be met under current law, we understand their choice to retain an attorney and sue Stearns County. As has been noted, the data practice laws and what is public and what is private are determined in context and not piece by piece. I need to take the appropriate time to do what's right. We will wait to see what the judge decides before taking any further action. Thank you for being here, and we look forward to meeting with you again about this matter.